Josh, I appreciate you doing this with me. Thanks for joining me. One thing that I know as a guy who grew up in this area, you always were really excited when you heard stories about in the off season, the Winnipeg Jets being around town. You were in Calgary, you're in Winnipeg now. Why was it important for you to come back to Winnipeg?
Well, I think for us, it was a decision we made because, our house here, I think, has a little bit better setup for us during the time off. I mean, we have, a better gym set up here and whatnot. But also, I think, for us, obviously nobody really knows where this is going to go. But, we're back in Winnipeg and we're able to, be ready, hopefully, if we can start to turn the corner and be back ready to play hockey again. So it's just nice to be back in a comfortable spot and sort of in a good setup for us to be at home and spend a lot of time, all of our time at home.
So everyone's going through this. What's it been like for you personally? Are you getting cabin fever? Is this a stressful situation? Are you managing well?
I think it's a range of emotions. I mean, I think for everybody, it's a lot of the same things. I mean, it's so unprecedented. It's something that nobody's really been through before. So I think there's days where it seems like you've been inside an awful lot, and obviously, for me, I miss playing hockey and being around the guys and. I get notifications on my phone like, game start time today or whatever postponed, and I don't know how to turn that calendar off, but every time you see that, you're reminded of obviously, the fact that we're not able to play right now. And, there's a lot of nervousness or, I guess anxiousness in the fact that you don't know what's going on and aren't sure what's going on. But for me, thankfully, my family's safe and healthy. And, I guess as the time's gone on, I've realized to try to get into a routine and, try and work out at home and sort of, do some things that are keeping me busy and just try to do what we're told to do. And that's, self, quarantine, I guess, and try and, stop the spread that way.
You talked about a routine. I can imagine that in the off season, there's a plan that you follow that builds up and increases to the point that when you show up at camp, you're right where you want to be. How do you develop that plan now with all this uncertainty? What are you doing? How do you approach this so that, if there is a time when you end up back on the ice, you're where you want to be? And are there specific things that maybe you look at this and think, this is what I always wanted to work on, now I've got the time to do it?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, obviously, it's hard to say when that return date is. I mean, everyone hopes it's sooner than later and that we can get back to playing, the end of the season or the playoffs. But you're right. I mean, it could be obviously, not until the end of the summer, in which that would be sort of a normal summer training period. So for us here in Winnipeg, like I said, one of the big reasons we came back was, we've got a pretty decent, home gym set up for us. So it's not quite as great as I guess it would be at the rink or something like that, but it definitely is, pretty solid. So as far as that goes, I mean, just trying to get a good base and I think stay in as good a shape as possible with the potential of coming back and playing games. I think once we learn more info on what that'll look like or when some things start to get projected on when we'll be back, then it'll be easier to put together a program. But for now, I'm just trying to generally train and stay in the best shape I can.
Josh, I want to do a bit of a deep dive into a story Paul Maurice loves to talk about. He always talks about when he was, coaching Team Europe at that World Cup, and he was anxious to get back to Winnipeg. He was talking with the assistant coaches, and he said they kept telling him over the phone, you got to see Josh Morrissey. You got to see what he's done over the summer. And I'm interested. I want you to do a bit of a deep dive into how you did that. First, how did you identify what you needed to work on? Was it coaches? Was it something specific? And how were you able to make such a turnaround in such a short window?
Well, I mean, I think obviously that's something that I'm proud of, that that story, and it definitely means a lot coming from Paul. But for me, I think it honestly, a lot of the credit goes to the Winnipeg Jets player development and the coaches and management. Basically from the time I was drafted, there was a pretty clear plan of what I needed to work on to get to the next level, and what were my strengths, what were my weaknesses. And I think for me as a young player, turning pro after a couple of years of junior, and being a first round pick, you want to break the door down right away and get into the NHL, and not spend any time in the minors. But for me, getting sent down and basically playing an entire season in the minors, for me, it really, I think the mindset was just, as soon as I got sent down, okay, let's start getting better. Let's really work on my game. For me, the NHL obviously is so intense, and it's all about wins and losses. And I think in the minors, there's more of a mindset of improving and working on your game and doing things that, are just going to help you improve. So that was really my mindset. And fortunately, or unfortunately rather, we didn't make the playoffs with the Moose that year. So we had 4.5 months to train, and I really just tried to take advantage of that. And it was sort of the first time I really ever had that much time to train in an off season with, world junior camps and NHL drafts and all that kind of stuff in the prior 4 or 5 years. So I think a combination of all those things, and, just coming into training camp and being a little bit older, a little more confident, and sort of not holding back anything. And just, my mindset was, if I, give it everything I got and I make the team, then obviously that's awesome. And if not, then I just keep working, and eventually, you'll get there if you keep doing that. So I didn't put as much pressure on myself in that training camp, and things really went well for me.
One thing that we come to you players as journalists and ask at times is we kind of like to get you guys to give us your scouting report on other guys. And in all honesty, some guys you ask stuff and clearly they wouldn't have made good scouts or aren't going to make good scouts because they give you bad scouting reports. You've always been really, really good with the scouting reports when I've asked you about players. And one guy that you were on the front end of was Leon Draisaitl, former teammate of yours in junior. Some people would be surprised by the heights that he's reached. You've never been. Every time I've talked to you, you've fully expected him to kind of get where he's got. This year, obviously, he's going to be in the Hart conversation. But your goaltender, Connor Hellebuyck, is probably going to be in that conversation as well. I'm interested in your take on that award and those two players' involvement in it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's such a difficult award to figure out, because obviously, how do you quantify, how important somebody is to your team or to a specific team? But definitely, I can speak about Helly and how important he's been to our team this year. We definitely wouldn't be where we were and where we are if it wasn't for him. I mean, especially early on in the season. And it just, every night it seemed like if we needed a big save, or even sometimes it's the nights that maybe he doesn't have the 10 bell save, you might say, but he's just so consistent in the net. And with all the changeover on our defense this season, and for him to come in and play the way he has, I feel like he just has, the calmness he's shown and the confidence he's shown kind of has just radiated out from him through our defense and into our forwards as well. And so I think, honestly, if you're going just on importance to a team, and would that team be in the position they are without that particular player? I mean, I think his case for the Hart is as strong as anyone's.
A lot of the numbers clearly point to him having a great year. Every time I talk to him, though, he is adamant in saying that your defense core, you and the rest of your teammates, aren't given near the credit that you deserve for the game that he is able to play. I guess from your perspective, what does he mean by that? What do you guys do really well that allows him to do what he does so well?
Well, I think from the start of the year, obviously we've had a lot of new faces on the blue line, and new guys coming in, and I think we've probably spent more time working on things as a group than I guess in years past, especially with the fact that we've had so many new guys. So I think for us, simplicity and just competing as hard as we can, and the way that Helly plays in the net, he competes his hardest, and I think that's something that we've tried to do on our back end as well. And basically, it doesn't really matter how you do it. If you get the job done, that's all that really matters. And I think over the course of the year, we've built chemistry amongst our back end. The guys that have come in have been outstanding, and it's a really fun group to be a part of.
Well, Josh, I appreciate your time. Thanks so much for joining me, and make sure you stay healthy.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Sean. You too.